The story of Mel and Patricia Ziegler, at least in this book, is the story of Banana Republic. It began with surplus safari clothes, then moved on to travel and safari. Their catalog was a well written marketer's dream. It inspired an ongoing dialogue with their customers that was the source of many successful ideas. Celebrities discovered them, and they had a costuming department that worked closely with Hollywood. Top Gun was one of their movies. Near the end, they started a travel magazine and sold books. There were plans for expansion into home products, but retail is also a real estate business. At the end, Banana Republic was a placeholder at malls for what would become the upscale version of their parent company, The Gap. The falling out within the company and the end of the concept happened near a high point for profitability. The Zieglers briefly tell the stories of other companies they founded, including the Republic of Tea and ZoZa Clothing. From all this, we can draw three important lessons in business. Lesson 1. The most important element in a new business is luck. The Zieglers were born lucky. They began by quitting union jobs in journalism to freelance in magazines while they thought of what to do next. Mel was flown to Australia on a junket, where he bought a rakish surplus jacket. This gave them their business idea, which they moved into some cheap Northern California real estate. This picture was taken around their luckiest moment, in Brazil. They were robbed on the beach and lost all of their documents. Shortly after that, they got everything back, except the cash. The importance of luck, however, isn't driven home until the end of the book. ZoZa Clothing was a quality activewear company that was part of the dot-com boom. When they started, the Zieglers had more than they ever had before. They were independently wealthy and much better connected. They had backers. Also, they had a lot of experience at all levels of business. Their team was well put together, the product was right, and it generated customer enthusiasm. The dialogue began right away. The only thing missing from ZoZa was luck. The death of a key colleague just served to underline that it wasn't going to happen. The products have stood the test of time. To this day, ZoZa Clothing is still sought after. Lesson 2. It is better to know about your particular business than business in general. During the Zieglers' time there, Banana Republic was carried by Patricia's knowledge of fabrics and instinct for style. She knew what was potentially valuable, what was well made, and what could be adapted. What she brought to the company made it possible for them to sell clothes for men in the 40s to an audience of mainly women in the 80s. This is the short-armed Spanish paratrooper shirt, one very early example. It was well made, but clearly from a defective run. The Zieglers invented a funny backstory and rolled up the sleeves to booming sales. Their skills allowed them to do this again and again. Someone who only understood the principles of business would have negotiated a good price, but it's likely they would have had to pay a landfill to take the shirts. Lesson 3. If you sell your company, it's time to go. Business is full of these stories. This is Mel with Don Fisher, founder and CEO of The Gap. Because of Don, the Ziegler story is longer than most. He was a founder, and he knew enough to let his winners run. Banana Republic kept the concept at first and gradually moved into travel. Then, the usual cliches started happening. It started with nepotism. Bob Fisher, Don's son, was a poignant version of the half-wit son. He got the education, did the work, and understood the numbers. What Bob did not have, however, was the gift. He and his allies didn't understand what the Zieglers were doing, even though their numbers were incredible. After the crash of 1988, Bob persuaded his father to pull the plug on the original concept and make Banana Republic into the upscale Gap. The Zieglers made more money by staying for a while, but they would have had a happier exit if they had left after the sale or negotiated better and shorter terms for staying than their 5 years. Eventually, they reconciled with Don Fisher, who later understood his mistakes. they never saw Bob again. Today, the new version of Banana Republic is bigger than the old one. This is not enough to vindicate the Fishers. The company could have been much bigger than it is now. Banana Republic could have continued its evolution under the Zieglers, with the upscale Gap opening under a different name. Nowadays, both stores run from inertia. Neither of them are remarkable. They are looked after by people who understand the numbers, but not much else. This book was a fun look back at the days when Banana Republic was exciting.